For those of us who live and breathe history, there's something magnetic about the quiet genius of Cold War survival engineering, a time when ordinary people, families, neighbors, backyard builders prepared for a world that might have ended overnight. What's astonishing is that many of those bunkers and backyard shelters, built in the 1950s and 60s by civilians with little more than hand tools and determination, still stand today, solid, dry, and stable, after more than 60 years underground. Their longevity wasn't luck. It was design, a clever engineering trick hidden in plain sight. It's called the floating foundation principle, a Cold War innovation that allowed concrete shelters to withstand moisture, frost, and shifting soil without cracking apart. And it's still used today, not just by survivalists, but by structural engineers building for resilience. In the anxious years following World War II, the race for nuclear supremacy pushed ordinary citizens to become self-taught engineers. Magazines like Popular Mechanics and Life published detailed blueprints for DIY fallout shelters, encouraging people to build their own protection in basements or backyards. But they soon faced a serious problem. Concrete, when buried, doesn't last. Water seeps in, frost expands, the earth moves, and the rigid slab above it begins to fracture. The solution came from a principle borrowed from civil engineering, a base that didn't resist the ground's movement, but worked with it. Instead of anchoring the shelter solidly to the earth, builders learned to let it float. Now, it didn't actually float like a boat. The floating foundation sat on a bed of compacted gravel and sand materials that absorbed movement and distributed weight evenly. Cold War manuals recommended laying 6 to 12 inches of gravel beneath the shelter's concrete base, topped with a cushion of sand. This created a flexible layer that allowed the earth to shift beneath without cracking the slab above. It was an elegant, low-tech solution. The gravel acted as a shock absorber. If the ground swelled with frost or shifted slightly, the foundation flexed with it. The gravel also provided natural drainage, channeling water away from the base, instead of letting it pool and weaken the concrete. A simple trick, yet one that extended the life of a structure by decades. Inspectors today still find Cold War-era shelters across the American Midwest and the English countryside. Their doors rusted and fittings corroded, but their concrete shells perfectly intact. The secret lies in that same floating foundation, resilient, adaptive, and brilliantly simple. And this isn't just a relic of the past. The principle remains invaluable for anyone building underground today, whether it's a storm shelter, a root cellar, or an off-grid bunker. The method is timeless. Dig a bit deeper than your intended floor depth. Lay down 6 inches of compacted gravel. Add a few inches of sand. Compact, level, and pour your concrete slab on top. That layered base gives your structure drainage, stability, and flexibility. Protection against frost, flooding, and time itself. Modern builders often take it a step further by installing French drains, perforated pipes wrapped in fabric, buried in gravel around the shelter's perimeter. These channels carry away groundwater before it ever touches the foundation. It's the same Cold War logic, refined for modern durability. Back in the 1960s, civil defense tests proved just how effective this was. Shelters built with floating foundations absorb ground shock better than rigid ones. When a nearby detonation rippled through the earth, flexible bases shifted, while fixed slabs cracked and failed. The floating foundation, designed by citizens, had unexpectedly become a model for shock-resistant construction. Engineers soon applied the same principle to bridges, runways, and skyscrapers in seismic zones. A backyard survival trick had evolved into a cornerstone of modern resilience engineering. Even today, urban explorers and archaeologists uncover Cold War shelters that have outlasted later constructions. Metal rusts, roofs collapse, but the floating basis, remain solid. Proof that sometimes the simplest ideas endure longest. So, if you're planning to build a shelter of your own, a storm bunker, a root sage, or even a buried shipping container, remember the Cold War method. Dig deep, lay gravel, add sand, let your structure breathe and flex with the earth. Don't fight nature, work with it. Even if you're not building underground, the same logic can extend the life of sheds, cabins, even concrete tanks. Because this principle isn't just engineering, it's philosophy. The earth moves. The world changes. Strength comes not from rigidity, but from the ability to adapt. The people of the Cold War understood that instinctively. They didn't have polymers, waterproof membranes, or high-tech additives. TA had great resourcefulness and a willingness to learn by doing. Out of fear, they built with logic, and in doing so, they left behind lessons that still hold up, literally today. So next time you see an old fallout shelter diagram, don't dismiss it as relic paranoia. Look closer. It's full of practical wisdom, the quiet legacy of ordinary citizens who built smarter, not harder. Because the past isn't just a story we study, it's a blueprint, one that still teaches us how to build stronger, live smarter, and endure whatever the world brings next. If you enjoyed uncovering this forgotten piece of Cold War engineering, subscribe to In the Beginning, where history's hidden innovations and survival lessons are brought back to life. The past, after all, isn't dead. It's the foundation we still stand on.